Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international. They are everywhere. So all you got to do is go on to betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez, fill out a questionnaire, and they will place you with a licensed professional therapist, either master's level or PhD level. If you don't like your therapist, you just go back on, say, didn't like them, didn't quite mesh with them. They will place you with a different one after you fill out some more questions. So there is that. Okay, so I will be in Tampa on Saturday. Woo! Next week. Holy cow. So I'll be in Tampa, Florida on next week. If you are interested in doing the meet and greet, it is from 2 to 4 p.m. Tickets are available on chrisgodinez.com. So that is where you get your tickets. I'm very excited to be in Tampa. That is going to be so much fun. And I get to see my friend Marianne. So I'm just like, oh, win-win. Okay, I get to see people and I get to see my people. This is awesome. So I'll be in Tampa on December 2nd. If you want tickets for that or any future event, they're on chrisgodinez.com. So I will be in Texas in April, I believe. So if you're in the Texas area and you want to get tickets to the meet and greet, they're always 2 hours long. You get me for 2 hours. You can ask me any questions you need to. So there that is. Okay. I think that covered that. Current events. So mind continually blown. I don't know why, but it is. So I'm reading the AP News. And there is a story of this, again, a domestic violence situation in Italy this time. And the ex-boyfriend killed the ex-girlfriend because he was jealous that she was reportedly jealous that she was outdoing him, that she was graduating early, that she was going on with her career, that they had broken up, that she'd left him behind, et cetera, et cetera. Etc. And so there's been a lot of coverage on that and a lot of outrage because in Italy, according to the statistics, once every 3 days, a woman is murdered and body found from a domestic violence situation. So it happens more often here in the States. So it's not just a United States thing. It is a worldwide issue of domestic violence. And it's not just women being murdered. I need to keep repeating, men are the targets of abuse as well. So the whole mental health issue needs to be addressed. So there is that. So Italy's been having a lot of, not riots, but they've been having rallies where, women are just tired of it. And they're like, we're sick of the abuse. We're sick of the stereotype. We're sick of the ignoring the situation and acting like it doesn't happen. And I think that should go for any kind of abuse, whether it's, a man towards a woman or a woman towards a man. I don't care. The abuse has got to stop. It's got to. So anyway, I saw that today and I was like, excuse me. And I was like, well, yeah, it's a worldwide issue. It is definitely a worldwide issue. So anyway, if you go to the AP, you can look up that story. And there's also currently a movie out in Italy that is, it basically puts a spotlight on domestic violence and pointing out, this has been going on forever and this is how it happens and this is how it goes down and things like that. So there that is. Also, I am going to be adding extra videos throughout the week. Not like I don't have enough to do, but apparently YouTube, I've been hearing from people, and thank you for giving me advice on how to do this, because this is not my job. I just want to be clear. I mean, this is my job, but it's not my job. So I have a full-time practice, so I see clients throughout the week, but apparently YouTube has done funky things with the algorithms that if you're not producing multiple videos throughout the week, they don't drive people to your site. So I want people to get this message. I want them to get the help they need. I want them to get the tools that they need to get the hell out of these abusive, horrible relationships. So please please share, please subscribe. And I will be doing, instead of one grouping of questions on Wednesday, I'm going to take a question a day and I'm just going to do like maybe 3 or 4. If I have time, I'll do more. But, I'm just going to do a question a day, and I'll dedicate like a 15-minute video to the question. So that's what I'm going to do. These videos, I'm going to shorten a little bit. So we're going to do half an hour of chit chat, talking about the subject, etc., and then whatever questions come in. And if up to 45 minutes. And then after that is done. Okay. So just letting you know, I am changing things up a bit. So, okay. Where was I? So today's topic is the neat little boxes that they put us in. So why do dysfunctional families do that? So if you look at forensically, if you look at any dysfunctional family, you're going to see the same roles over and over and over and over again. So in a typical dysfunctional family, there's the parents, but if the parents have abdicated being parents, you'll end up with a second mom or a second dad. And that's usually the eldest. It's not always, but it's usually the eldest. And so the older kids get designated as the second mom, the second dad. That's not fair. That is so not fair to them. And the reason I'm doing this topic is because as we are going into the holiday season, I cannot tell you the number of craziness that's already happened. And we only had Halloween and Thanksgiving. So the stalkers are out in force, just letting you know. Stalkers are out in force. Hoovering is in force. It's happening to almost all my clients. Going home and visiting the family is bringing up all of the wounds and the issues. And a lot of people have been like, why do I turn into a 7-year-old when I'm there for like a day? So this is why I'm bringing up this topic. So abusers, narcissists in particular, anyone with a personality disorder has a really incredibly difficult time. And please remember, I am talking about malignant. I am not talking about traits of, and I'm not talking about the people who are actually aware of what they're doing and getting help, i.e. borderline personality disorder. Generally, once they get into therapy, it can help them. With a narcissist, in the history of ever, they have never changed. Let's be clear. So anyway, in families where there are personality disordered parents, the parents tend to abdicate responsibility, and they tend to make the adult kids the parent, literally, of them and of the family. So they will give these older kids way the hell too much responsibility. Then you've got usually the ignored middle child, or some child that is ignored. Doesn't have to be the middle child. I mean, these roles are kind of interchangeable, but this is kind of like the stereotypical, what I've seen these many years happening in these dysfunctional families. So then you've got an ignored child, usually the middle child, not always. So the ignored child is not, responsible enough or old enough to be the parent. They're also not the golden child. So the golden child can be any age, the ignored child can be any age. So the ignored child is not good enough. And I put that in bunny ears because nothing's ever good enough for an abuser. But the child is not good enough to be the golden child. Or let me phrase that another way. The child is not a mini-me. So they have their own personality. And the abuser does not like that. So they're not exactly like the abuser. So the abuser ignores them, or doesn't pay attention to them, or, punishes them for not being a mini-me or whatever. So the golden child, I know I'm throwing a lot of information out, but you guys need to know this. So the golden child is the one, could be an older child, could be a younger child, doesn't matter. The golden child is the one that is the mini-me, that the abuser has designated their heir, the heir apparent. So, and in more ways than one. So the golden child can do no wrong. The golden child is given a pass because they act a lot like the abuser. And so the abuser goes, oh, I see myself in you. Therefore, I can do no wrong. Therefore, you can do no wrong. And so they splurge on the golden child because the golden child toes the line, reflects back to the abuser what the abuser wants to see, does whatever the abuser wants them to do, including abuse by proxy onto the other siblings. So the golden child is the abuser's favorite. The ignored child usually has their own personality, can see the pink elephant taking a crap in the corner of the living room, and therefore the abuser does not like them. and either ignores them or punishes them. Hi, guys. Then you have usually the comedian. So the comedian, not always, but often is the youngest child. The comedian sees the elephant in the corner of the living room, right, taking a crap, doesn't want to get in trouble because they've seen what's happened to the middle child or to the child that has called it out, which can also be the scapegoat. So the scapegoat is the one. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place. So much caffeine today. The scapegoat is the one that has seen the elephant taking a crap of the living room, calls it out constantly. Like, nope, this is crap. Nope, I see this. Nope. So the abuser punishes, and that kid becomes the scapegoat. And unfortunately, that kid generally becomes the scapegoat with the other siblings as well, because it's like, oh, it's not safe to be nice to the scapegoat. You have to be mean to them, because that's what the abuser wants. So that's where you get that weird dynamic where the siblings gang up on one of the other siblings because the other sibling sees the dysfunction. Comedic relief is usually the youngest child, not always, but the child has seen what's happened to the ignored child and the scapegoat. They also see that the golden child is just as crazy as the abuser, so they're the comedian. They're the ones that make the laughs. They're the ones that lighten the mood. They're the ones that change the subject when things get weird, etc., etc., etc. And I bring this up because when we have to go home for Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, whatever, weddings, funerals, abusers cannot deal with change. They can't. The rest of us can deal with it. Do we like it necessarily? Not really, but it's kind of like, okay, it is what it is. Roll with it. Here we go. And you just go with it. Abusers hate change. Hate it. And they cannot deal with people having their own personalities. Everybody has to think like the abuser, always. Like, they have to like the same thing the abuser likes. They have to feel the same way the abuser feels about certain topics. They have to dress the same way. They have to have the same values or whatever, okay? Usually, narcissists cannot tolerate differing opinions at all, because a differing opinion is too threatening to their ego. A healthy, normal person can go, okay, that's your opinion. That's great. I'm interested to hear it. All right. Don't agree with it, but okay. And allows the other person to have their opinion. A narcissist, on the other hand, is like, it's like a dog with a bone. They will not drop it. So like at a normal dinner, if somebody brings up something that's off topic, all it has to be mentioned is once, hey, we're not going to talk about that. And then everybody goes, oh, sorry. Okay, we won't talk about that. An abuser, on the other hand, they're usually the ones bringing up the off topic, will gleefully bring up an off topic. And even though somebody is underneath the table kicking them in the shin to shut the hell up, which, yes, that does happen, and no, they don't respond well to that, they will continue on. Dog with a bone. Nope, we're going to talk about this. No, I'm right and you're wrong. I'm going to, one of those things. So when we go home, and if our family is toxic, which is why I recommend Gray Rock and not going home over the holidays, create your own tradition, please. Put that on the mirror, create your own tradition. You don't have to go home. And a lot of people fall into the trap of, oh, it's my family. Okay, if you were not related to these people, would you have anything to do with them? There's the question you need to be asking yourself. If the answer is no, for the love of God and all that is holy and Buddha and whoever else, don't go. They will mess your head up, and it doesn't take very long. So with dysfunctional families who've got these very rigid little boxes that people have to fit into, okay, abuser cannot tolerate change. Abuser cannot tolerate people having their own opinions or their own personality or their own anything. Okay. When they decide somebody is this, oh, you're the comedian. You're the cute one. You're stupid. You're lazy. You're the mom. You're the dad. You're, all these boxes that they like to put people in. They don't change. They never, ever change their perception of them. So in their mind, that's who they are. That person is forever that person. They're not ever allowed to be themselves. So when we go home, dysfunctional families have a tendency to literally fall into line. So within 24 to 72 hours, you will find people suddenly flipping and becoming absolutely the way they were when they were kids. The comedian, the second mom, second dad, ignored, the screw up, the scapegoat, whatever. It's like all of a sudden everybody just falls into these roles. So that's why I keep saying it's like if you are no contact with your family, you're no contact for a reason. Yeah, let's not kid ourselves. There's a reason. It's kids from healthy, normal families just don't go no contact. They just don't. So yeah, there's something going on. Um, so when we go home and we fall into these roles, it's because the abuser is pushing everybody back into those roles because they cannot tolerate people being people. People change, opinions change, narcissists don't. They don't ever. It's like once they've decided something, it is written in stone. And they do not allow for anything. They don't allow for maturity. They don't allow for, psychotherapy. They don't allow for anything. So, and it makes them feel in control. That's why they do that. So when you see an abusive parent shoving everybody into these neat little boxes and labeling them, right, and then smearing them, they're doing that because it's a power and control issue. It makes them feel powerful and it gives them a sense of control. I know who these people are. I will make them behave the way I want them to behave. That's exactly what they're doing. Oops, I need to turn the sound off. And then the kids fall into line. Now, when you get to the really dysfunctional families, like this isn't dysfunctional enough. Trust me, this is dysfunctional enough. But when you get into the really severely, you're dealing with a dark triad, you're dealing with somebody who is absolutely morally bankrupt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You will not only have second mom, second dad, you'll have second husband, second wife. You will have the sexualized children. You will have the incest. You will have all of that going on. There will also be almost, how do I explain this? What I have seen in some of the most dysfunctional families is the abuser remarries. Okay. There's a stepmom or a stepdad involved. Suddenly the kids from that first marriage are persona non grata. They don't exist. They're not worthwhile. They don't, they can't be spent time on, and God forbid anybody should spend money on them. So what I've seen in extremely dysfunctional dark triad families where the abuser goes on to remarry, whether it's the mom or the dad, they get with somebody who is just as messed up as they are and is okay with and probably encourages abusing the kids from the first marriage or ignoring the kids from the first marriage or making it painfully obvious that those kids are not wanted in any way, shape, or form. Not emotionally, not anything. No, we don't want you. You're garbage. Seriously. That's what those mother cluckers do. So and so basically out of sight, out of mind. So I've had a lot of clients, of course, during this time of year. I don't get it. I'm the stepdaughter. I was adopted. I was the stepdaughter. I was adopted. I was the son. I was, and the stepdad or the stepmom has declared me persona non grata, and they are not to spend any money on me, and they are not to spend any time with me. And, mom and dad are just falling in line with whatever the stepmom or the stepdad is saying. That's because the relationship to them is more important than anything else. And that shows a high level of, what's the word I'm looking, moral bankruptcy. Because I'm sorry, your kids are your kids. I don't care who you're dating. I don't care who you're marrying. If that person does not understand that you are a package deal, then they need to hit the road, Jack. Seriously. Don't you come back no mo, because your kids need to be your priority. So abusers don't put the kids as the priority. Ever, especially if they're not theirs. So unless, caveat, if the kids are somehow fawning to the abuser, that might get them into their good graces for a while until a brother or a sister is born. And then that child will immediately become the top priority, because that's what abusers do. To them, love is a pie, and there's a finite amount of love to be given because they don't love. Let's be clear. They do not love. Their idea of love is to control people with money. That's their idea of love. That's not love. That's not love. True love is infinite. You can love an infinite amount of children. You can love an infinite amount of people on the face of this planet. Oh, thank you. It's not finite. So dig it. Okay. I've got great nieces and great nephews all over the place. Like literally, we're getting into double digits now. So do I have enough love for all of them? You betcha. You know why? Because it's not a pie and it's infinite. With an abuser, it's a pie and it's finite and they don't understand love. So to them, they're going to run out of resources. There's not enough. That's how they think. And to them, it's always money. Always, 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 always. So they love to put us into these neat little boxes because then that makes us an object. Okay. So remember, abusers do not relate to human beings, any human being, as a human being. They look at us predatorily as what can we be used for? We have no more meaning to them than this pen. I cannot emphasize that enough. We have no more meaning to them than this pen. And when the ink runs out, they toss us and they do not give us a second thought. They absolutely do not. We have no meaning to them. None. Zip, zero, zilch, nada. So they put us into these little boxes that they can easily label and easily define because then that way they can easily shove us to the side. Out of sight, out of mind. Seriously. Narcissists abusive parents tend to be out of sight, out of mind, unless, caveat, they are needing excitement. If they are bored and they are needing excitement, then oh boy, howdy, do they start going through the list of family members to see who they can poke the bear at, rile up, get some drama going, get some excitement going, get some gossiping going, etc., etc., etc. Hang on. So, generally out of sight, out of mind. And putting people in neat little boxes certainly allows them to do that because, oh, well, they're this way. Oh, well, oh, well, they're good. The only person they pay a lot of attention to is the golden child. That's it. They will pay attention to the scapegoat if they really are just sadistic and they want somebody to punish. And that's what the scapegoat is used for. The scapegoat is literally the whipping post of the entire family. So, so that is why they do that. So what can you do? What can you do? So that is the big question. So how am I doing on time? Oh, I'm good. So when you realize that you've been shoved into a neat little box, you refuse to play, which means anything from low contact to no contact. Or if you have to have contact with them, you don't play their game. You refuse. I'm not going to be baited. Nope, I'm not going to play that. Nope, I'm sorry. You can consider me the cute and the dumb one all you want. And until you get your master's degree, how about you shut the hell up? Here's a serving of shut the hell up and a side helping of shut the hell up. You don't say that to them, but you say that in your head. So the thing of it is that our little inner child, whenever we get confronted with the family roles, roars to the front, but I'm not that way. Well, okay, you know that. They will never know that. Even though they know it, they will never know it. Does that make sense? They don't care. They want somebody to play the game and they want somebody to manipulate. So what you have to do is you have a strong talk with your inner child before you go over to the family of origin. Okay, little one, we are going to go. They are going to behave like butt monkeys. And they're going to be stupid and they're going to try to put everybody in neat little boxes. And you know what? You just need to know that I know that you are not the cute and the stupid one. Period. Doesn't matter what they think. What other people think of us, including our family of origin, especially if it's a dysfunctional one, is none of our business. Okay? That is a really hard one for people to get because we've been trained by them to hang on their every word and to believe their every word. So we've got to retrain ourselves that what they think of us is none of our business. What they say about us really does not matter because people who are willing to believe the worst of you absolutely do not deserve the best of you, period. That's where that whole flying monkey thing comes in. And so oftentimes what I'll see in families that have got these, labels, and when one breaks out and refuses to play, the abuser will call in the flying monkeys, the aunts, the uncles, the distant cousins, the whoever is willing to play, to try to put pressure on that person to come back into the fold and play that role. So the best thing you can do is don't go. That would be, go start your own traditions. Seriously, you don't need to play. You don't. The second best thing, low contact. Third best thing, if you have to go, you're just not going to play. You're not. And, consider it the role of a lifetime. So, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What? You can play it up. They want you to be the dumb blonde. Okay, play it up. Have fun with it. Consider it an Academy Award winning performance. You don't have to take it seriously. The thing about narcissists, and especially the thing about dark triads, is their ego is the size of North America or larger, and they have this need pathologically to be taken seriously. Like they have gravitas. No, they don't. They're jackasses. Sorry. So in your head, they're jackasses. I don't need to take them seriously. They're not going to like that. Oh, well. But then the question you have to ask yourself is, why are you going? What is driving you to go back and have Christmas or Thanksgiving with a family that clearly does not appreciate you and clearly does not respect you? You deserve respect, and respect is not being served. Get up from the table and leave. Okay. That is the biggest thing. And I've had several comments from people going, oh my God, I went and they started their hoo-ha and I left. And I was like, good for you. That's what you need to do. That is totally what you need to do. When they start slinging mud and being stupid, you leave. You don't have to participate. You are under no obligation to attend every argument you're invited to. Let me say that again. You are under no obligation to attend every argument you're invited to. They will invite you to attend all sorts of crazy stuff during the holidays. Trust me on that one. Don't bite. Don't bite. Don't rise to the bait. Don't do it. And that's going to take talking to your inner child and really letting that inner child know, hey, this parent, disordered, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I don't have to believe everything they say. And I don't have to take to heart everything that they say about me to my face or behind my back to other people. I don't. They are inconsequential to my life. So to work on that, I am going to suggest the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. You've got to get that self-esteem super strong. I mean, trust me, guys, being on YouTube, I've had all sorts of crazy people hurl all sorts of untrue and nasty things at me. If I took every single one of those to heart, I'd be a puddle of yuck on the floor. You got to consider the source and let it go and realize it's not, they're talking about themselves. The nastier someone gets, holy cow, are they talking about themselves or what? So that's the outer critic. So I can only imagine how vile the inner critic must be to them in order to just spew that kind of nastiness. So basically, it's realize that person is talking about themselves. Mom, dad, whoever that is, grandparents, cousins, sisters, brothers, whatever nastiness they're vomiting all over you, they're showing you who they are, number one. They're telling you what they think about themselves. Number two, even though they're saying you with the you guns, which is what I call them, the second someone starts spewing you statements, that's when you know there's two fingers pointing out. There's six fingers pointing right back at that person. They are talking about themselves. So there is that. How are we doing on time? We're doing okay. Okay. So Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. You've got to have rock solid self-esteem. You got to know who you are. You got to trust who you are. You got to start trusting yourself, not trusting them, not getting your esteem from external loci. Does that make sense? So narcissists need outside approval all the time. And so they teach their kids to search for outside approval, even ones that eventually go on to get help and become healthy. So that's why it's important to start doing the inside work, okay? So inside work, working on yourself, okay? Self-Esteem Workbook, Glenn Schiraldi. Get with a good trauma therapist, okay? Okay. Inside Work, Glenn Schulde, Codependency, The Disease to Please, Codependent No More, Beyond Codependent No More, any of the books on codependency. Get them, read them. Get the Inner Child Workbook, Lucia Cappuccioni. It's Regaining the Inner Child, something like that. And then the one by, Catherine Taylor, I really like because it's experiential. So it's like, you rock yourself as a baby, you spread applesauce in your hair and see what comes up, you play on the floor. I found it very helpful. So, it depends on what works for you. The Lucia Cappuccioni one is more like your child is written by your non-dominant hand, your adult you is written by your dominant hand, and you have a conversation between the two. So that is what you're going to need. And here's the thing. If you have newly gone, no contact, and when I say newly, I mean within the last 2 to 3 years, and they're hoovering you to come back to the family, come back to the fold, be very careful. It's a trap. I'm going to sound like that Admiral in Star. It's a trap. It's a trap because they're, we've changed. Oh, we're good. Oh, everything's fine. Oh, everybody da 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 da. But you know what? They're going to start their same BS all over again. So you've got to be very careful of that. Okay. All right. I am going to dive into any questions that we have. So just very quickly, different roles. Okay. Second mom, second dad. They generally care for the younger kids. Golden child is a mini-me to the abuser. Scapegoat is the one who sees the BS going on and is not playing. And so the abuser has decided that they are going to take it out on them. Comic is trying to comic relief. Let's get it light. Let's change the subject. Let's make sure everybody gets along and doesn't die. Okay. That kind of thing. In super dysfunctional families, that's when you have the second husband, second wife, the sexualization of the children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if your family, if when you go home and you feel like after 24 to 30 to 40 to 72 hours, you're starting to fall back into those roles, leave. Come up with an excuse. Don't stay. You are under no obligation. So what they love to do is make us feel obligated. Fear, obligation, guilt. If any family member is trying to make you feel fearful, obligated, or guilty about not being there for the holidays, there's your first red flag. Trust that. They've shown you who they are. Believe them the first time. So anyway, that's why they do the roles. It's easier for them to manipulate. It's also easier for them to ignore us, push us to the side, whatever, or to control us or to humiliate us. That's why they put us into those neat little boxes. Work on your self-esteem, work on your boundaries. What will you not put up with? I think number one, no disrespect, no name calling, no ganging up, no, none of that. If the family's going to do that crap, you don't need to be there. You can leave. You can. You're not a tree. You can get up and move. So you don't need to stick around. So there that is. Okay, now let's go to the questions. Dun, dun, dun. Oh my God, I really need new reading glasses. Let's make that large. Okay. All right. Is the golden child encouraged to abuse their siblings? Yes, absolutely. 110%. Why? Because the abuser abuses the siblings. The abuser abuses everybody. And if the golden child, it's almost like the golden child is passing a test. If the golden child does the abuser's bidding, then the abuser knows, I have a flying monkey. Fabulous. I can use them. Fabulous. They may not be that outward about it or that cavalier about it, but that's basically what's happening. So yes, they do encourage them to abuse their siblings because it makes the abuser feel powerful. And if the golden child has not gotten help, which they usually don't, and has traits of, it makes them feel powerful. And then the cycle just starts and they go and they become abusers themselves, usually. Not always. Sometimes the golden child wakes up and goes, oh crap, I was the golden child. What the hell? And works on themselves if they have traits of. Now, if they are full-blown narcissists, nope, not so much. So, okay, do they abuse their, and has the golden child influenced who the scapegoat will be? They can, but usually that's designated by the abuser because golden children follow whatever the abuser is insinuating, either overtly or covertly. So there's been either overtly, I don't like this child, or there's been actions that show the golden child who they need to pick on. I know it sucks. But yeah, it's usually from the abuser because a golden child is generally not going to do that on their own. Right now, they're mini-me's. They're following whatever the abuser is saying. So the abuser will let them know through actions or words who it is in the family that is persona non grata. So that's usually what I see happening. Okay. How can a former family scapegoat tell whether they're being scapegoated again at work? Well, it's how you feel. So how you feel after interactions, if you're blamed for stuff you had nothing to do with, you're being scapegoated, you betcha. So workplaces, let's talk about that briefly. Workplaces unfortunately mimic whoever is in charge's family of origin. So when you get a healthy CEO, you generally have a pretty healthy company, okay, with good solid boundaries, good solid rules, et cetera, et cetera. If you've got a CEO that is batshimomo crazy, family of origin was completely messed up and dysfunctional, they could possibly have narcissistic tendencies themselves or be complete narcissists. I'm not going to name any names. Owns a company, could possibly be the name X. But anyway, so they have issues themselves. And so they will seek to put into positions of power mini-me's. Okay. So they will fill middle management and upper management with just as disordered people as they are, as long as they know they can control them and that these little mini-me's are going to be on their knees taking their cues from that particular person. So anyone who stands up to them, it's like the emperor's new clothes. Anyone who goes, Emperor, you're naked, hello, will get summarily executed, i.e. fired. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear, hey, this is not a good course of action. They don't want to hear, reality, basically. So in corporations where the heads are disordered, yeah, you betcha. They're going to fill it with people that are just exactly like their dysfunctional family of origin, which generally means a bunch of golden children abusers. And abusers need a scapegoat. So if you're at work and you're being blamed for stuff that you didn't do, yeah, if you're at work and you have a feeling this company is disordered and you're not sure who the scapegoat is, but you sure feel like doo-doo when you're done talking to people, it's probably you. Does that make sense? So it's in that case, you just leave. You can't change it. That's the problem. Unless you are somehow able to do a hostile takeover and kick everybody out, you're not going to be able to change it. You're not. So the best course of action with a dysfunctional work situation, and they do in work situations, oh my God, you'll know it's a dysfunctional situation because there's a golden child, right? There's somebody who's ignored. There's somebody who is the comedian, and there's somebody who's the scapegoat, and if you're not falling into those other roles, the scapegoat's probably you. So it's like, if there's other roles going on, I can guarantee you there's a scapegoat role, 100%. In healthy, normal corporations, ain't nobody got time for that. Okay. So, and yes, they do exist, few and far between, but it's like that nobody's got time for that. It's like, work is work, home is home. None of this stuff is going to be mixed up. Okay. Just do your job and let's get out, So, but in dysfunctional ones, absolutely. Over and over again, I've seen that in large corporations where you're just like, what the hell kind of decision was that? And why are you blaming that person when you're the one who made that choice? Hello. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So the best thing to do is to get out. There is no way to fix it. There's no way to change it, especially if you're just one of the workers, or even if you're in middle management. You could be the lone voice of reason. Oh my God, I've seen that a million times too. So, you go into the situation, you get promoted up, you find yourself in this position of some power, but then the higher ups are they're stuck in their ways, black and white thinking, not willing to change, not willing to look at things, not willing to move, not willing to consider doing things a different way. And basically that person who goes in there thinking that they're going to be able to make a difference gets burnt out, and they get a big bruise on their head from beating their head into the wall, trying to talk sense into these nonsensical creatures. So abusers don't have a whole lot of logic. They don't. They have a means to an end. They have predatory behavior. But really, when it comes to dealing with people, they don't know what they're doing at all, period. So eventually, those good managers, just like good teachers, eventually leave the profession or switch companies because they're tired of beating their head against a wall and they're tired of nothing changing. So there that is. The best thing you can do is to get out. That is totally it. I feel like I'm hypervigilant and give people too many chances. Yeah. So here's the deal. All of us who are raised by abusers give people way too many chances. We just do. And honestly, when somebody shows you who they are, that's it. That's it. Even if it's one time. Okay, you've shown me who you are. You did not make amends. We're done. Seriously, guys. And I know that sounds like I'm being a biatch, but listen, lo these 58 years of life on this earth, I have figured out that when somebody, thank you, Maya Angelou, that when somebody shows you who they are, you got to believe them the first time because they're not lying. Actions always speak louder than words. Actions always speak louder than words. Look at the actions. Look at how they're behaving. If they do something and then make amends for it, like really make amends for it, change the behavior, okay, now you can trust them. But if they do something, I'm sorry, and the behavior doesn't change and they do it again, oh, hell no. Hell no. So really, I used to play life like a baseball game. 3 strikes and you're out. I still kind of sort of do that. But honestly, with a lot of stuff, I'm like, I see you. I see who you are. I got it. You don't need to show me again. I got it. Bye. Seriously, I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. I've got 2 great dogs, a great husband, not in that order, and I like to travel, and I've got people I got to see all over the country, and I don't have time for games. I don't have, and especially not fun games. You know, Monopoly, Clue, sure. But anything else? Nope, not interested. You know, or Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, that would be so much fun. Anyway, the point being is that you don't have time for that. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. If it's in a corporation and you can see that it's messed up and it's not going to get better, find a different job. And yes, I know finding a different job is difficult, but not impossible. And honestly, you've really got to weigh it out. What are the pros of staying? What are the cons of staying? If you're coming home from work and you're getting an ulcer, or you're pacing the floor at 2 o'clock in the morning because you dread the idea of going into work, it's time to quit. Seriously, it's not worth your life. It is. And these corporations, don't get me started. Okay, here we go. Soapbox, here we go. These corporations that refuse to pay their people enough money to live on, number one, probably having to do with, CEOs that I mentioned earlier. They refuse to pay people a living wage. Secondly, it's like they expect people to give up their holidays, their vacation, their sick days. They don't give enough sick days. They expect other people to donate sick days instead of letting the person have the time off paid to heal. Next lifetime, I might come back as a politician. I don't know. But I despise most politicians, so that probably would not be a good idea. Anyway, the point being is they don't pay people enough money. They don't give enough sick time. They don't give enough vacation time. People are literally working themselves to death. I've had several clients that were working 3 and 4 jobs just to get enough money to have a studio apartment and support their child. There is something very wrong with that. Very wrong. So the corporations don't care. The corporations, just like a narcissist, will chew you up for breakfast and spit you out for lunch. So if you are not doing well in a situation, in a job situation, because they are abusing you, you are the scapegoat, you are feeling sick to your stomach, you don't want to be there, you're pacing the floor, etc., leave. Please, 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 please leave. Your precious life is not worth it. They won't care if you drop dead on the job. What they'll do is they'll have somebody in your seat by the end of the hour. Seriously. That's the kind of, if you're dealing with narcissists, remember, narcissists would rather have the people around them dead because it makes them feel powerful. Oh, look, I can replace you. Don't get me started. Some of the things that I see going on, I'm just like, how is this okay on any level, in any country on this planet? Not okay with that. Okay. Done. I'm done. Okay. So yeah. So if you're hypervigilant and it's driving you crazy, get out. Save yourself. Okay. Hi, Chris. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, happy Thanksgiving. I wonder, how do you best explain to new people you are no contact with parents and family members? Ooh. Okay. Well, so here's the deal. New people. Sometimes, remember, and this is a tightrope to walk. Sometimes abusers pump for information. They're mining for information to be used against you at a later date. Okay. So you want to make sure that these people are trustworthy. Trust your gut. If you don't trust them yet, you don't need to say anything in business. If you feel like sharing and you think the person is trustworthy, you give them a Reader's Digest version. And I can just hear all the younger listeners going, "What's Reader's Digest? Oh my God." Okay. You give an abbreviated version, like a teeny tiny, like, "My family's toxic. I have nothing to do with them. End of discussion. This will not be brought up again." Seriously, you have the right to discuss or not discuss what you want to discuss or not discuss. So you don't need an explanation. This is the big thing in our society, which is so stupid. And here we go with another rant. We have got this Judeo-Christian thing of honor thy mother and father. Well, listen up, kids. The very next line is, parents, do not bring your children to anger. It's a two-way street. Thank you very much. If a parent is being disrespectful, or if the family is being disrespectful, or a family member is being disrespectful, the big question to ask yourself is, if I were not related to these bozos, would I have anything to do with them? And if the answer is no, act accordingly. Seriously, save yourself. You owe them nothing. Oh, they're a sperm donor? Oh, they're an egg donor? Oh, they, treated you like doo-doo and disrespect and abused you verbally, mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, religiously. Guess what? You don't have to have anything to do with them. You don't. You owe them nothing. And this whole idea of forgiveness, I would like to biatch slap somebody. Seriously. You don't have to forgive them. Do I forgive my dad? Not in the traditional sense. No. I hold him 110% accountable and responsible. I hold my mom 110% accountable and responsible. But do I carry them with me every damn day? No. Forgiveness is letting go. Forgiveness is not forgive and forget. It is, okay, you now have no relevance in my life. Bye. I'm living my life. I'm traveling. I got dogs. I got a husband. I have fun. It's like they're not. I'm sorry. You don't get to live rent free in my head. Done. So forgiveness is really letting go. It's like acknowledging what they did, validating that you have a right to not like them, and then letting them go and not letting them travel with you up in your head all the time. That's forgiveness. So there is that. So the whole idea of, having to explain ourselves, that is from our abusers, because abusers are the ones that are like, but why, but why, but why, but why? Because they don't understand human emotions and they want to put us on the ropes. And they want us in a position of one down. And when an abuser is like, well, you need to tell me why. No, mother clucker, I don't. You don't owe anybody an explanation for anything. Okay, let's be 110% clear. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't. Even if they were your sperm donor or your egg donor. Doesn't matter. If they treated you like doo-doo and they continue to treat you like doo-doo, and they're never working on themselves and they're not going to change, why waste another second of your precious life on those bozos? You don't owe them anything. So I hope that answered that question. All right, my loves, I'm going to end it here. And next week, we are going to be talking about, so I have two topics that I wanted to hit. And I'm hoping that my flight is on time because I'm supposed to get back into Phoenix at 10. So provided all goes well, next week, because I'm going to be in Tampa on Saturday, which I'm very excited about. If you want tickets, they're on chrisgodinez.com. Okay, so the topic, there's two of them, but I think I'm going to go with feeling lost. So this time of year, a lot of us feel lost because we've either gone newly no contact with the family. We come out of one of these relationships. We've lost who we are. We don't know who we are. We don't know what we like. We're feeling kind of, what's the word? At loose ends, I think, is the best way to put it. So I'm going to talk about how you can help with that, and that is a very normal feeling. You're not crazy. That is something that damn near every survivor goes through, is that kind of lost feeling right after cutting cords and finishing it. So, all right, so we're going to talk about feeling lost on next week's show, provided my flight gets in on time, and hopefully there won't be any sort of like snowstorms. Not in northern Florida, but I noticed that when things go wonky on the East Coast, everything goes wonky everywhere else. So anyway, if it's not going to happen, John will post something on Facebook letting people know that it's going to be delayed. So, but hopefully it'll be, normal time. All right. All right, my loves, you guys go have a great week. I will be posting little videos throughout the week. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, etc., etc., etc. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.